Am I the butthole for lashing out on my husband for his reaction to our baby gender reveal? So, me, female 29, and my husband, male 33, have been married for 2 years. I'm now pregnant. First time, and it's been difficult. I have anemia, but I'm getting treatment. We went for the doctor's appointment to find out the gender of our baby. My husband was excited, although he repeatedly said he guaranteed it was a boy with no evidence to back it up. We entered the doctor's office and he didn't stop feeling nervous, making me nervous too. Once the doctor said it was a girl, my husband's face went red. He stared at the doctor, then started asking if she was sure 15 times. He asked if she was sure this wasn't a recording footage of her previous patient, which made me feel embarrassed because this was a dumb question. He has zero idea how ultrasound works. Doctor laughed. But he asked her to check again and even tried to act smart to point out that it's actually a boy, but the doctor got it wrong. I told him to stop, but he started lashing out blatantly, saying he wasn't expecting this and was in fact disappointed with the results. I felt mad, especially after he told the doctor we will be seeing another doctor, then get back to her to tell her she got it wrong because he guaranteed it was a boy. I waited until we got home. I lashed at him and told him he had no right to speak to the doctor like that and waste her time by getting her to check repeatedly. I said he embarrassed me, and he lashed back, saying he has a right to express how he felt and that he was disappointed. We argued, then he went to call his mom to tell her, although I asked him to wait to do it together. I called him childish for immediately calling his mom and getting her to text me. Like it's my fault. I told him I'm going to stay at my mom's for 2 days because this is too much. He asked how's it childish for me to call my mom and vent a little. But totally okay when you pack to go stay with your mom for 2 days? I was speechless. What response could I possibly have for this? He started texting saying ultrasound wasn't a good idea. But he'll just wait until our baby's born to find out, since tests can't be 100% sure anyway. Said he wasn't trying to blame me for being pregnant with a girl, but how I reacted to his reaction. He planned to have 1 kid and that's it. Preferably a boy, but it didn't happen, so he was disappointed. Again argued that I overreacted and mishandled his gender disappointment. My sister said I was wrong because his reaction was understandable and that he's free to express how he felt, so I shouldn't try to control his reaction. We're from Canada, by the way, if it's relevant. That's horrible for your best friend, but it is a bit hilarious. I can't believe these men don't realize their jizz determine how the baby comes out. Automatically an X from the mother, obviously, but the father's sperm determines whether or not they have another X or a Y. You'd honestly think it'd be common sense. Wow. Does he not realize that his sperm determined the gender of the baby? It's his fault he's having a girl. Gasp. He's an ass and needs to get his crap together. It's one thing to have a little disappointed letdown when you get yourself hyped for one sex or the other. It's completely over the top to do what he did. Not the butthole. Unless he can control the X and Y in his sperm, it is not his fault. It's nobody's. It is not even a fault. It is not even a fault. Exactly. It's amazing how much pressure some parents put on kids even before they're born. I actually want to know why he was so convinced it was guaranteed to be a boy. I think he's a sexist ass and an idiot, but I would love to know how he convinced himself that he could control this. Because he is a manly man, and manly men can only create more manly men. Literally my father's logic. I have too much testosterone to ever make a girl. Dude made 2 boys and 2 girls, denied the latter until DNA testing became a thing, until the day he died claimed we were genetically impossible? Holy crap. Some people. Huh? I love this. A lot of people are convinced of folklore like Chinese calendars, Remy's theory, can tell you the sex before NIPT or ultrasound. I think they were just using the term fault as a figure of speech because of all the comments the husband made about how he doesn't blame original poster, which very much seemed to imply he actually somehow blamed op. Came here to say exactly this. All eggs are X's and the male provides the X or Y, which determines if it's a boy or girl. If he has anyone to be angry with, it should be himself. This male-oriented view of reproduction is so sexist, rooted in a belief that the female egg is just passively waiting around to get fertilized by some man's sperm. In reality, eggs take an active role in choosing which sperms to mate with. They screen out sperm with unsuitable genes and can screen genes by gender. While it's hard to determine how much is the egg's choice and how much is male vigor, the assumption that it's all up to the man derives from a 19th century worldview that needs to die. If you've got some sources on this, I'd be very interested to read them. I haven't heard this take before. It's a strange way to put it. I don't think anyone was looking at it in a sexist lens, just that male gametes segregate into X and Y chromosomes while female gametes only segregate into X chromosomes, and humans have always anthropomorphized things, and so it's easy to say the sperm is what chooses. However, it is true that eggs have some sort of preference for sperm. Here's a source. The gist of it is that egg cells release chemicals that preferentially attract certain sperm cells, in a sense selecting them. Web link. There's a bunch of different factors which affect whether the baby is male or female. X and Y spent can stay alive for different amounts of time, so the time of month you have sex relative to ovulation can play a role, as more of one kind of spent may have died off by the time the egg is released. Can't remember which way round. There's also a lot we don't understand the mechanisms for, including that more boys are born in populations after war and more girls are born in times of famine/poor conditions, more likely to be down to hormones in the mother than in the father. It's all really interesting. My fiancé is a midwife and has told me bits of this, and there are also some pretty good mainstream YouTube videos on the subject if you look. Rather worrisome, isn't it? If he doesn't know that it's his sperm that determines sex, what does he think guaranteed it was a boy? Run while you still can. Yeah. My first thought on reading the post was, why the hell are you having a baby with that butthole? I knew it was a weak man who didn't want a daughter the second I read the headline. Exactly why would a woman want to be with someone who clearly does not like the gift of a daughter? If daughters were so horrible, he wouldn't have his wife, and the two women he ran to crying. So ridiculous. It's easier to understand when you realize he likely has no respect for his wife. Yeah, none of that is love or respect, just use. Women are useful to him. They are the vehicles that bring him the honor he deserves as the center of all things. I really hate how we just jumped to break up with lashing, but I honestly can't hold myself back this time. His reaction was pathetic. He kept it up, embarrassed himself and tried to blame her for her being disappointed in his disappointment. The redirection, the hypocrisy. I got so angry I can't even type. People say having a child is the most important decision of your life, but I disagree. From what I've seen, who you have a child with is the most important decision of your life. It's honestly hard for me to imagine trusting anyone enough to tie myself to them for the next 20 years with no possible way out. I have to be in awe by saying this, but lots of people have kids too willy-nilly. I've read a lot of stories where people don't show a side of them before this comes along, so I believe it's possible for situations to arise like this that come as a surprise. But so many people think it's not a big deal to have a kid, and then they think it's not a big deal who you have that kid with. It's one of the biggest decisions of your life. His reaction was ridiculous. To do that to the doctor is really gross, and it shows what level of emotional intelligence he is at right now. He needs to sort himself out with therapy or something, be more reflective, and then original poster should decide if she really wants to stay with this dude if they're struggling to communicate effectively. Agreed, she needs to protect her child from their sexist father. If this is how he reacts to finding out the baby's sex, imagine how many small and large sexist comments and behaviors the biologically female child will endure throughout their life. NTA. 1. It's the sex of the baby, not the gender. 2. Why does your husband hate girls so much that he would act this way? Big red flag. I'd probably reckon he'd be really unhappy with the transgendered child if this was his reaction to not having a boy. Just transgender, drop the ED at the end. They only said that because they're straightened. This guy, after finding out his kid is a fab, but I wanted boy. 13 years later his kid comes out as a trans guy. No, not like that. I have a rather sexist relative who was actually delighted when his tween grandchild came out as a guy. Apparently that was a pure upgrade. And then he talked warmly about the importance of strength training. Wow. That's unexpected. Very. A bit of a jaw hit the floor moment for the whole family, I think. And a big relief for those of us who knew and stood ready to run interference if the grandpa were to take it badly. Nah. Homophobia and transphobia don't necessarily run together. There are families that are fine with one and not the other. In a lot of cultures, in fact, they really believe that a gay person is just a person stuck in the wrong body. Iran puts you to death for homosexuality, but they have government-funded sex change. Pakistan also. Everyone knows you can't play catch with a girl, the vagina gets in the way. Duh. Secret is to use it a catcher's mitt. NTA, I would honestly reconsider having a baby with this man only because I lived in a life of only boys. My mother hated me because I was a girl, my dad no better. They both abused me to the point I had PTSD. Quick thing, my family, all of them, my dad and his siblings all had boys, my mom, her siblings all had boys, nobody wanted a girl. Then all of a sudden I arrived. Most of the family treated me terrible, my cousins would make fun of me until I tried to off myself. My uncles and their wives were even worse. All because I am a girl. Well, being a woman taught me that misogyny is a real thing. It's inside families, it's taught to men who bear girls as their children. That's another thing too, none of this is your fault, the sperm determine what gender, so this actually your husband's fault if you want to blame someone. It's very terrible. I hated my life as a girl. Well, I'm still here, and that's because I realized I am better than misogynistic people. If they already like this at start of the pregnancy, it will probably always be there, the hatred. Just my opinion, but I lived it. I was going to say this is a good time for original poster to remind her husband that it's all in his swimmers. Women donate 10 or 10, men donate X or Y. That said, good Lord, NTA. He owes an apology to you, the doctor, and especially his unborn child. And it's time to learn how to be wrong. Parents are wrong about stuff a lot, as they're humans and humans make mistakes. And user, oh my goshness, I'm sorry your whole family treated you like that. You deserve better. Gender essentialism for simplicity's sale. Reddit link. I was the first girl in a family of all boys and they treated it like a gift from the gods. No one deserves this. I simply can't understand women who treat little girls and other women, their own family, like this. Unconscionable. Androcentric male supremacists. The sad part is the women, the degree of internalized self-hate necessary to participate in that. Also, it's partly a survival strategy. They avoid the exact treatment they're subjecting you to by cooperating. Not an excuse. If she's far enough into the pregnancy to see the baby's sex, then it's too late to not have the baby. Anatomy scans happen around 20 weeks. She can definitely reconsider raising her daughter with this man, but not whether or not to have her, because people don't abort healthy babies that late. On a practical note, it's a bit late to suggest original poster reconsider at this stage. Gender scans are usually around 20W of pregnancy. This isn't the start of pregnancy, that's halfway through. In many places, even if original poster wanted to reconsider, which I very much doubt as she loves and wants her daughter, this would be off the table now unless there was a serious medical issue. Not the butthole. Original poster, this is a huge flashing red flag. Please make sure you are safe to be with this man. He sounds unstable. I wouldn't be surprised if the doctor has a talk with original poster to make sure everything is okay at her next solo appointment. Pregnant women can be vulnerable to abuse and OBs are trained to screen for that. Yeah, I bet there's a high chance they'll ask her about it. I just hope her husband doesn't convince her to change doctors. He's delusional if he thinks a second opinion will change anything. In the old days, maybe, but ultrasounds today are insane. They can track things like blood flow to the kidneys at that 20-week appointment. The images are very clear. After the birth, the nurses will escort original poster to the bathroom to help her wash off, turn on the shower while she's getting undressed, and before she gets in they will ask, are you and your baby safe? Do you have any other support system? They'll do it anyway for new moms, but you can bet that there's a flag on her medical chart now. Agreed. I'm angry on Op's behalf. Sounds like my ex, and I wouldn't wish that know-it-all, about everything, attitude on anyone. NTA. Not the butthole. He needs therapy and you need a separate bank account. This man doesn't sound like he's capable of being a father to a child of either gender. Not the butthole. Gender disappointment is real and needs to be processed, but lashing out and being a butthole is no excuse. I cried for an afternoon when I found out I was having twin girls. I cried because I didn't want them to experience the discrimination women still face. I cried because my husband's family favors boys. He is one of 4 boys and the male grandchildren are totally favored. It's sickening. Hubby and I are so hurt for our twins who are only 2 and don't see it yet, but one day they will. I have so much resentment towards my mill, who drives the favoritism. I am actually going to start counseling about it because it is so upsetting and unhealthy. It limits our time with his family because I don't need or want that in my girls' lives. I hope it's just a bad reaction, and once that little baby is in its father's arms he realizes that the sex doesn't matter, it's the person that matters, and he won't be able to imagine life with a boy. But I would watch this space very carefully, because no female should feel inferior, especially from the male figures in their lives. Oh my. I mean, you need to live your life the way you see fit, but in my mind it's better for those girls to have no extended family whatsoever than to have family that teaches them they're worthless next to a boy. 0 chance those people would be interacting with my kid. I came here to say this, I know it's hard to cut out family, but when they are actively causing harm. Oh, I'm sorry to hear this. And you're right, and I might have been wrong with how I reacted, but I didn't appreciate the way he handled the news. While gender disappointment is real, it doesn't, and shouldn't, involve a parent throwing a temper tantrum. Your reaction was 100% reasonable. He is allowed to be disappointed of the sex of the child. He doesn't, however, need to act like a child and throw a temper tantrum at everyone around him. Then run to mommy when he gets called in. Good luck with this one. I would be having a serious conversation with him about expectations and raising this baby, because this is reevaluate relationship territory. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.